Okay, Israel, Most High and Christ bless everybody.
Most High and Christ bless you too.
Okay, so as we all know, tomorrow at even brings in a day of Simon. And because of a late start, we have to finish the class, and so I'll do my best to try some as much as possible. So let's open up in First Maccabees chapter 1. So the high holy days that's in the Bible, there to let Israel know how the Most High, our God, has delivered us from the hands of oppression, tyranny, different captivities, help us to win wars and things like that, where the other nations depend on, where they depend on themselves in strength, where we have always depended on the Most High. Excuse me. So when we get to the day of Simon, you're going to get to where Simon ruled and he brought peace. And he brought peace to Israel. Peace which we saw, we would wish that we saw in our lifetime. All right, so this is First Maccabees chapter 1, and now start at verse 16.
This is First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 16. Now when the kingdom was established before Antiochus, he thought to reign over Egypt.
So Antiochus is a Greek. Okay, go ahead.
That he might have dominion of 2 realms. Wherefore he entered into Egypt with a great multitude, with chariots and elephants and horsemen and a great navy.
Right, so he had a big army. He had a big military force going around, taking people's land, etc. All right, go ahead.
And he made war against Ptolemy, king of Egypt. But Ptolemy was afraid of him and fled, and many were wounded to death. Thus they got the strong cities in the land of Egypt, and he took the spoils thereof. And after that Antiochus had smitten Egypt, he returned again in the 143rd year, and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude.
All right, so this is how we get involved. Okay, go ahead.
And entered proudly into the sanctuary, and took away the golden altar.
Right, the altar that was made during the time of Solomon, it was overlaid with gold, pure gold, not no little thin layer of gold either. Thickness of gold laid all over the altar. So he took that, go ahead.
And the candlestick of light,
Which is a menorah, go ahead.
and all the vessels thereof.
Right, so all the things that was inside of there, the priest was drinking out of gold. Gold, maybe silver vessels. These things were money. Not like during the time of even after that, in the centuries after the Messiah, they only show you so much. I would watch some of these movies, those little cups that they be drinking out of. Those cups be the horns of rams and different animals. And they take it, and I guess they leave the coagulant, how you pronounce it, the little hardness of it and the hollow part. So they leave a bottom of it and they create a cup. And they created cups and they drinking out of ram's horns and stuff like that. Maybe it's the bone or the horn or whatever, depending on elk, the ones that have the big horns and all of that stuff, they cut them off and make drinking cups. We wasn't like that. We drunk out of golden vessels. Okay. So everything that was inside of the stuff was very valuable that they had took from the Levites. Go ahead.
And the candlestick of light, and all the vessels thereof, and the tables of the shewbread, and the pouring vessels, and the veils.
Right. So if the vials, if these things were not of value, why would they be mentioned? They're mentioned because these things were precious metals. Okay, go ahead.
And the censers of gold.
Did you say the crowns? So there were crowns inside of there. Maybe crowns that the kings of Israel had. And instead of them just being maybe a family heirloom, they were put inside of the temple to say, well, hey, this King Hezekiah had this, or Solomon had this, or whoever, all the different kings of Israel saw, their crowns was inside of this place. So a lot of our stuff wasn't lost. It was being kept. Okay. David, it said crowns. So what crowns you think it's talking about? A crown going ahead of a king. And have to say, well, David's crown and Solomon's crown. It said crowns. So we'll be going into the kings of Israel who ruled in Israel when they passed away, and then their crowns were in safekeeping. So the crowns, go ahead, and the golden.
And the golden ornaments that were before the temple.
So all the stuff that was outside draped in gold. Like a lot of times when we fix houses, we would take crown molding and all different type of woodworks, design woodwork. You know, you see that on a lot of colonial houses or Victorian houses, all the different carvings and stuff like that to make the house and the paint pop. Well, the temple that was huge, it had all type of ornaments that was on the outside of it that were made of pure gold. The city of Jerusalem was astonishing. He came and he took that. Why? Because we were in sin. So when you were in sin, you know, you gonna lose. You ain't gonna win. Ain't nobody gonna win. I don't care who you is. You gonna lose until the day you repent and pray the Most High for forgiveness. If he give it to you, you still lost and you still gotta walk down whatever it is you did. But winning ain't one of them if you make the decision to be in sin. So Israel was in sin. And that's why these things came upon us. Go ahead.
All which he pulled off. He took also the silver.
That's all that he poured off. Now go to the second chapter of Maccabees, second book of Maccabees. The third chapter. Verse 8.
This is second Maccabees chapter 3 and verse 8. So forthwith Heliodorus took his journey under a color of visiting the cities of Celesyria and Phoenice, but indeed to fulfill the king's purpose. And when he was come to Jerusalem and had been courteously received of the high priest of the city, he told him what intelligence was given of the money, and declared whereof he came, and asked if these things were so indeed. Then the high priest told him that there was such money laid up for the relief of widows and fatherless children, and that some of it belonged to Hyrcanus, son of Tobias, a man of great dignity, and not as that wicked Simon had misinformed. The sum whereof in all was 400 talents of silver, 200 of gold.
So Hyrcanus, the son of Tobias, this could have been Tobit's grandson. Remember, Tobias got a lump sum. He got bags of money from who? Right, from his dad. And now his grandson got it from his son. All right. And that he held this money into the temple. And that money belonged to him. So he learned well from his father, Tobias, a man of great dignity. So who did Tobias learn to be, to have great dignity and make sure that he keep the commandments and follow the Most High? From his father. So you sons out there, if you have fathers of great dignity, or even those of you that we have gotten through the faith of Christ, we become your fathers now, being elders in the truth. And you know you got an elder of great dignity. You're supposed to take on those qualities, because these are the qualities that teach you how to be a man. Don't worry about, oh, what your biological father didn't do. God is in control of everything. You come out of his loins, he did a job of getting you here. So all praises to the Most High. But keep it moving. Okay? So there was 400 talents of silver and 200 of gold. This man had great wealth. Okay? His dad did too, and his granddad did too. And that it was altogether impossible that such wrongs should be done unto them. Meaning, to steal this is a great wrong. Even if you take something from one person to the next person, that thing will reach the heavens, to the throne of the Father. You would not go unpunished for doing a great wrong to another person. It was like, this is a great wrong to take something. Okay, go ahead.
That had committed it to holiness of the place, and to the majesty and inviolable sanctity of the temple.
Right. Go ahead.
Honored over all the world.
Right. So you can't do this, man. You can't come here and take this. This was, it was committed to the trust. Go ahead.
But Heliodorus, because of the king's commandment given him, said that in any wise it must be brought into the king's treasury.
Right. So that shows you that they didn't care. One side feared God, the other side didn't care at all. Go ahead.
So at the day which he appointed, he entered into the order this matter. Wherefore there was no small agony throughout the whole city, but the priests prostrating themselves before the altar in their priest's vestments, called unto heaven upon him that made a law concerning things given to be kept.
Right. So they were straight in fear and devastated when it says prostrating themselves. Okay, they were all on the ground. They were devastated because of this great death. I mean, not death, but this straight loss. All right. Look up that word for y'all. Prostrating. It says, lay oneself flat on the ground, face downward, especially in reverence or submission, because they know that who was allowing it to happen? It was the Most High that was allowing it to happen. So they went to the Most High, because we were completely getting robbed of things that was committed to them to trust. Okay. And they were in their garments, and they called unto heaven, unto him that made a law concerning things given to be kept. You can read that in Exodus, the 22nd chapter. Okay. That they safely should be preserved for such as committed them to be kept. What is that telling us about? It's telling us, go to Exodus 22:7. When somebody gives you something to keep, that's exactly what you do. You keep it for them. You don't steal it from them. It's a law. Exodus chapter 22 and verse 7.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 22 and verse 7. If a man shall deliver unto his neighbor money or stuff to keep, and it be stolen out of the man's house, if the thief be found, let him pay double.
Right, let them pay double. So if you don't want to, we should not turn covetous. If somebody give you something to hold and you turn covetous to where you steal it, guess what? You owe double. In other words, we can't do that. All right. There are precepts in here talking about stealing this whole chapter. Well, not the whole chapter, but maybe the first 12, 13 verses. Let's talk about stealing. Somebody, and oftentimes we will give one another certain things to hold. You got to know how to deal right with it. You hold it for that person because they need it. They need you to hold it for whatever the circumstance is. After, when they come forward, it should be in the same shape that they gave it to you for. It should not have been diminished. You should not have used it. You should not have did any of those things. You know, years ago, I used to test people to see if you was a trustworthy person. I would give you something to hold. I'm just telling on myself. Give you something to hold, like money, and say, hold this. And then forget about it. And then come back after another time, a later in date, and ask you for that money. As soon as you start stuttering, I said, you're not trustworthy. And to me, I'm like, you are a thief. Why? I don't want to hear the excuses. Oh, I had a flat tire. You're supposed to have a flat tire and the money that I gave you to hold for me. How I used it for this, I wouldn't even have expected you to use it and then replace it because you didn't get permission to do that. It was not a loan to you. That's just real talk. If I gave you a ripped $50 bill, when I show up 8 months later, it's supposed to be the same ripped $50 bill. It's laws pertaining to stuff like that. We gotta be the people that the Most High tell us to be, trustworthy. So let's get back to this so that we got quite a bit and we can get it done. So if I ever tell you to hold on to something, it's a test. I'm gonna see what you're gonna do. Or if somebody else tell you to hold on to something, they might not be testing you. They might actually need you to just hold on to it. But you can learn your lesson from me because I'm gonna put you to the test. I tip you to steal because if you need something, you can just ask and I'll give it to you. But put you to the test and tempting you to steal is two different things. So another person, they gonna come to you. They ain't your teacher. They're not gonna put you to the test. They're gonna come to you out of a sincere necessity. So I'm gonna prepare you to deal right with them. So when you get to them, or when they get to you, they got somebody that gonna deal right with them. Because if you deal wrong, then I'm gonna call you out on it. Therefore, when you get to the next person, you know how to deal right with them because somebody already said something to you about dealing wrong with money on things that are supposed to be kept. There's so much in this book that always have to be exercised. You can't be in your feelings because somebody says something to you or saying something to you about it. You don't supposed to be, well, I shouldn't have just asked you. And you didn't ask. I asked you. Well, you shouldn't have asked me. What? I'm supposed to ask you. You a brother or you a sister. I'm supposed to teach you. a lot of things. And this is one of the lessons that's in life that you got to learn, that you got to deal. What did Tobit tell his son Tobias? If you deal what? You deal truly, your dealings shall prosperly succeed to you. Prosperity doesn't come in instant gratification. I'm sorry. We want honor, we got to humble ourselves. Humility come before honoring. Okay? So back at 2 Maccabees, chapter 3, and now that's verse 16, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
2 Maccabees 3:16. Then whoso had looked the high priest in the face, it would have wounded his heart, for his countenance and the changing of his color declared the inward agony of his mind. For the man was so compassed with fear and horror of the body, that it was manifest to them that looked upon him what sorrow he had now in his heart.
Right. That's showing you, just brief elaborate on that. Something got stole from him that belonged to somebody else. How is it when something gets stole from us? How do you take it upon him? And he's not afraid that Hyrcanus is going to come kill him. He's not afraid of that. He's just afraid of that it happened. The Most High allowed it to happen, and it's not good. You lose something that belongs to somebody. Are you horrified? Do you feel like this? Most people, they don't feel like this. It just got stolen. They just gonna tell the person somebody stole it, and this, that, and the third. I just wanted to point that out. You ever see somebody that lost something that belongs to somebody else? How did they take it? Like ain't no sweat on their back. But this guy here, he was devastated. It says with fear and horror of the body, that it was manifest to them that looked upon him. He was devastated that he lost that. Okay. Verse 18.
Others ran flocking out of their houses to the general supplication, because the place was like to come into contempt. And the women, girt with sackcloth under their breasts, abounded in the streets, and the virgins that were kept in ran, some to the gates, and some to the walls, and others looked out of the windows.
So our women are sitting back looking at how control and security has broken down, and that there's no protection from tyranny and thieves. Go ahead.
Verse 20, and all holding their hands toward heaven made supplication. Then it would have pitied a man to see the falling down of the multitude of all sorts.
So you're witnessing the actions of what happened, what happens when they come into the land. Because remember, in chapter 1, they came into Jerusalem. So now when you get into these details, you're witnessing, they didn't just come in and was cool. They came in, with spoil on their mind. Go ahead.
And the fear of the high priest being in such an agony, they called upon the Almighty Lord to keep the things committed of trust safe and sure for those that had committed them. Nevertheless, Heliodorus executed that which was decreed. Now, as he was there, present himself with his guard about the treasury, the Lord of spirits.
The Lord of spirits. So that's the Most High. Go ahead.
And the Prince of all power caused a great apparition, so that all the presumed to come in with him were astonished at the power of God, right, and fainted.
So they saw something. Let me look up the word apparitions for you. So everybody that was with him saw something. Now, how did they get this help? They got the help because the priests were praying. The high priest, look at how he felt. Yeah, horrified. Okay. So it says apparition, a ghost or ghost-like image of a person, the appearance of something remarkable or unexpected, typically an image of this type. So what did they see? They saw somebody that wasn't there before. They saw the image of a person. It says the Lord caused a great apparition so that all that presumed to come in with him, they were astonished. Because what else did they see? They saw this man that he was covered with fear and horror of the body. They saw the sorrow that was in his heart. They saw all the chaos of all the people. They thought they had us beat. And they also saw people praying and crying and losing it and all of that. But then the Most High caused them to see something and open their eyes. Who else is in this room with y'all while y'all doing this? It says, and they fainted and were so afraid. Verse 25.
For there appeared unto them an horse with a terrible rider upon him, and adorned with a very fair covering, and he ran fiercely and smote at Heliodorus with his forefeet. And it seemed that he that sat upon the horse had complete harness of gold.
The man on the horse had a harness made of nothing but gold, not leather, not cloth or wool, thick. You know what I'm saying? You make those. They make those harnesses that sit on, thick, cushiony. Now this one here was gold. From the seat to the thing that you would hold on to, all the way down to the thing that you would put your feet in. They saw nothing but gold. The harness of gold. All right? Go ahead.
Verse 26. Moreover, two other young men appeared before him, notable in strength, excellent in beauty, and comely in apparel.
So there was a total of 3. Okay? There was a total of 3. This sounds like the same ones that did the work where? That's right, Sodom and Gomorrah. So the Most High. So we all believe that this was Christ and whoever else that was with him. Okay? So there were 2 other young men appeared before him, notable in strength, excellent in beauty, and comely in apparel, who stood by him on either side, okay, and scourged him continually, and gave him stripes, gave him many sore stripes, so they beat the hell out of him. Yeah, they beat him. Yeah, they beat him. He did steal something. He messed with the wrong people. Verse 27.
And Heliodorus fell suddenly unto the ground, and was compassed with great darkness. But they that were with him took him up and put him into a litter.
They put him into a box. So he fell and was like comatose. So they had to pick him up. He got his behind whooped. He fainted with fear. He blacked out. They beat him so bad. Verse 28.
Thus him that lately came with a great train, and with all his guard into the said treasury, they carried out, being unable to help himself with his weapons.
With his weapons. So that's why, if we stay in the spirit of the Most High and keeping the commandments, we're going to be okay. We do live in an environment to where we have to be reactive and try to be proactive at the same time. But when we need help, we have to call upon our God, who has always come to help us. Now, You know that they were calling upon the Most High when the threats began. They showed up at Jerusalem and say, "Oh, this ain't gonna go well. I know what they here for. Oh Lord, don't make it happen." It didn't go away then. It didn't go away then. Oh Lord, they're getting closer and closer. Oh, it didn't happen then. They start pulling things down. It didn't happen then. But they didn't stop what? They didn't stop praying. They kept calling and kept calling and kept calling. And they never lost hope and they never lost faith. And last but not least, the Lord said, I got the solution for these demons. And he sent 3 of his best. And they came and shocked and scared the mess out of them and showed who was the real boss. Is it Antiochus? Or is it the God of Israel? That's right. So by being the God of Israel, he's going to tell you that they had to acknowledge. Go ahead.
And manifestly, they acknowledged the power of God.
So was it Antiochus or is it the Most High? It's the Lord. All right. So this is 2nd Ezra chapter 3:29. Go ahead.
For he by the hand of God was cast down.
Right. Go ahead.
And lay speechless without all hope of life.
It was nothing he can do. Speechless with all hope of life. They thought he was dead. Yeah. They thought he was dead. Go ahead.
But they praised the Lord that had miraculously honored his own place. For the temple, which a little afore was full of fear and trouble, when the Almighty Lord appeared, was filled with joy and gladness. Then straightway certain of Heliodorus' friends prayed Onias that he would call upon the Most High to grant him his life, who lay ready to give up the ghost. So the high priest, suspecting lest the king should misconceive that some treachery had been done to Heliodorus by the Jews, offered a sacrifice for the health of the man.
Right, because they would just think that, see, when these kings, when they send you in to do their bidding, they don't expect for you to kill the messenger. They expect for you to be afraid. But Onias, he was like, okay, I don't want Antiochus to think that when he showed up, that we just killed him. And then he sent, 10,000 troops in and out. Israel still got another fight. They got another battle, which the Most High could kill them too. So, and his friends was begging him, pray the Most High to save his life. So he thought he dealt wisely, asked the Most High to save him. But when Heliodorus, when he left, he didn't take the spoil with him. Would you? If you saw angels and one of them just beat you unconscious, or 2 of them just beat you unconscious until you went into a coma, and it had to take the same one to bring you back to life, you think to tell me that you're gonna try and pick up the stuff that they beat you over and leave? No, you ain't gonna try and get that.
So,
all right. Verse 33.
Now, as the high priest was making an atonement, the same young men in the same clothing appeared and stood beside Heliodorus, saying, Give Onias the high priest great thanks, insomuch as for his sake the Lord hath granted thee life.
Right. Go ahead.
And seeing that thou hast been scourged from heaven, declare unto all men the mighty power of God. And when they had spoken these words, they appeared no more.
Right. So what did they tell him to do?
declare to all men.
They said, you better go tell somebody. You better go tell somebody. All right, go ahead.
Verse 35. So Heliodorus, after he had offered sacrifice unto the Lord and made great vows unto him.
So not only did he not take anything, but what did he do? He reverenced. He said, I'm finna give you something. He offered a sacrifice. Okay. and made great vows unto him. What do you think he was vowing? To never do this again. I'm never doing this again. Not only am I never coming back here again, but Lord, I ain't never going nowhere again. Because you're going to show up there. Because you know me. You understand? You know me. You see me. That's what we read in the Psalms concerning David. If the Lord, the Most High knows everything. He knows. Remember, he said he knows his going forth. He knows his sitting down and his rising up. You know, where can you go from the presence of the Lord? You can't go nowhere from the presence of the Lord. You understand that? So his vow. He had to make a vow that's like a promise. I would have to make a promise. I'm never going to do this again. So is it okay? I can go over there and do it, but I can't do it over here. He had the vow that I can't do this nowhere. So he had to be a changed guy. At least in that aspect. He ain't saying, well, I'm vowing not to drink again and get drunk. This ain't, we dealing with that. We dealing with robbery. He was a robber. All right. So what verse is that?
35.
Verse 35. So Helidorius, after he had offered sacrifice unto the Lord and made great vows to him that had saved his life, and saluted Onias. You understand? So he gave great, the person, now he see him for what? He see him for who he is. Right? Because Onias he got the power to do what? Call God. He can call the Lord. He can call the Most High, who can show up. Now you mean to tell me that's not power? I came in here with weapons and all these people to punk you. You understand? I just had you weeping and crying and all this. Of course, somebody gonna be scared shitless. Of course, you got it. And you got this disadvantage. But Onias, once he did what he did, who's powerful now? Right. He had the utmost respect for him. He like, man, I didn't know that you was that dude. I didn't know that you was the guy that has the ability to call the Most High God, the real God. And he show up and show out. You know how much power that is, man? To call upon the Most High and he show up and show out on your behalf. People alone would be afraid of you. That's why there is power in prayer. That's why we must pray. When the Lord delivered us out of Egypt, the Most High said, I have heard their groanings, which they cry out unto me. So every time doing Passover, I'll be like, yo, Israel, this is a reminder. Cry out unto the Most High. Let your prayers be heard. Tell on these people. Say this. Say that they worrying you, they bothering you, and this, that, and the third. Why? Because the Most High does hear prayers, show up and show out. Hey, I lie not. I've spent time when people used to mess with me. The Most High used to deal with them. I be praying for the opposite. Because I've had people end up dead. People that did certain things to me, I take it as a grain of salt. They'd end up dead. Young, old, it didn't even matter. And I don't like to see nobody get dead. I like to see people change. So right now I'd be like, Lord, just give them the spirit to change. This, that, and the third. But I'm telling you, in my lifetime, I have seen people who have assaulted, insulted, dealt, all different type of ways, end up in boxes, body bags. I can tell y'all real true stories and you would be like, wow, for real? I already tell y'all enough. It's real. The Most High do show up and show out. But that's not, you know, I don't want anybody, and I don't think the Most High wants anybody to just want the death of a person, because I never prayed the most, Lord, kill this person. I'm mad at them. They did this. Nothing like that. Always take it, whatever's, you dish out some BS. I'm like, okay, I'm done with you. Next thing you know, this person did. So you're gonna almost get me to start talking, but let's get back to this. Because it's real. And when stuff be going down or somebody be tripping, the first thing I'd be like, you're gonna make me pray. And you ain't gonna like the end result of it. So this is real. So what verse is this? So this is 2 Maccabees chapter 3 and 35. Yeah, so he ended up saluting Onias and returned with his host to the kings. And he went back with everybody. Go ahead, verse 36 now.
Then testified he to all men the works of the great God, which he had seen with his eyes.
Just like the Lord told him to. Go ahead.
And when the king asked Heliodorus who might be a fit man to be sent yet once again to Jerusalem, he said, if thou hast any enemy or traitor, send him thither, and thou shalt receive him well scourged, if he escape with his life. For in that place, no doubt, there is a special power of God.
Right. So we got to believe that. We have to believe that. We have to invoke that by actually praying and watching unto prayer. I know I ain't gonna put you to the test, but how many believe that the Lord will do this, that, and the third? Remember who was praying unto the Most High, and God had them to show up. Onias, the high priest. And so let's say that this brother wasn't in sin. All right. So if you want the Most High to come and help you and hear your prayers and deliver you and bring deliverance to whatever circumstance, you got to be on the up and up. Let's go to St. John 9. And verse 31.
This is St. John chapter 9 and verse 31. Now we know that God heareth not sinners.
Right, so Onias wasn't a sinner. A lot of people be praying unto the Most High, but the Most High doesn't answer because they be in sin. So to the best of your ability, and know that people will try and combat that and say, well, everybody's sin. Everybody, let's say this. Let's say everybody don't sin. Yo, they sin. They have faults. We make mistakes. Are we walking in the things that the Lord has commanded and given us to do? Because everybody don't have the same, I give you an example. The work for a doctor or somebody that's in college is not the same work as somebody in elementary school. So if you're in elementary school and you're doing the work and you're getting good grades, you still might have faults, but you're doing everything that's required of you. And even though there are other things that's required that you have to grow into life, but as that individual, you're going to be accepted. Now, let's say you go to college and now there are things that's required of you. You got essays and you got exams that you have to, get done and all these different, but you're not doing all of those things. So then you're worse than the child, even though the child is nowhere on your level. Why you're worse? Because the child is doing what's required of the child. As an adult and a college student that's studying to be a doctor, you're not even doing what it requires. So that makes you worse. So when it comes to sin, if you know to do the Lord's will but do it not, you're gonna get beaten with many stripes. So we understand. So when it says that so now that we know that God heard not sinners, a person that's going to be considered a sinner in the eyesight of the Lord is somebody that the Most High has been trying to teach you and tell you to do something, but yet you refuse and refrain to do it and get the work done. Go to the book of Luke. All right. Not Luke, same chapter. Same chapter. Go down. John 9, it is. I don't know why I thought it was in Luke. St. John 9 and verse 39.
This is St. John chapter 9 and 39. And Yahushua said, for judgment I am come into this world.
For judgment I am come into this world. Meaning Christ came to do what? To be the end of what's right and what's wrong. That's what he means by judgment. He's the end of what's right and what's wrong. Go ahead.
That they would see not might see.
That they which don't understand might understand. Go ahead.
And that they would see.
And that the ones that say that they see, go ahead.
Might be made blind.
They might see that say, oh, I really don't understand it. They might be made what? Blind. Go ahead.
And some of the Pharisees which were with him heard these words and said unto him, are we blind also?
Are we blind also? Do you think that we don't understand? Were we blind also? Go ahead.
And Yahushua said unto them, if you were blind.
Stop. If you were blind, if you acknowledge that you don't know. Go ahead.
Ye should have no sin.
You should have no sin. You see? Meaning, I won't account that as what? As sin. Why? Because you don't know. I'm going to account the things that I know that you know, and I'm willing to move forward with you to teach you the things that you know and that you don't understand, and it won't be so hard on you. So everybody understand that?
Yeah. What was verse 41 saying? What are you saying?
So Christ said unto them, if you were blind, you should have no sin. Blind is not talking about putting out their eyesight. Blind is saying that they don't understand something. So if somebody don't understand something, do you punish them the same way that somebody do understand? Because they're in ignorance. And so now they're teachable because they're ignorant, they lack understanding. You're going to be more patient and more forgiving to them. And you're not going to give them the judgment of sin to them, even though they in the wrong. So you got to look at it differently and say, hey, let me teach you. Let me show you. Okay? So he said, if you were blind, then you should have no sin. Okay, now you understand that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead.
But now you say.
But here's the thing. But now you say we see. So a lot of times when you deal with somebody and they know it already, it's like they say, I see, I understand, or they might not be saying I see or I understand this. They may just carry on in a fashion to where they don't want you telling them anything or correcting them or showing them something. Go ahead.
Therefore, your sin remaineth.
Therefore, your sin remain, meaning you're going to keep doing the wrong thing. And if you keep doing the wrong thing, then if we like that, and then we try and call upon the Lord, the Most High is not going to hear us. Neither will he defend us. Who don't understand that. Okay. You smarter than a fifth grader. Okay, so, but now you say we see, therefore your sin remain. A lot of people feel like they understand something. And when they feel like that they understand something, you can't tell them anything different. So if you can't tell them anything different, they're not going to change what they're doing because they already say, I see. I understand this. I know this. They harden their hearts to not make a change because of how they feel. Now you get it? So the sin is going to remain. Okay. Anybody else don't understand? That's the last thing that you want to keep doing. Is somebody trying to tell you or show you something about yourself, and instead of you listening to them tell you about yourself, you like, I see. You don't need them to explain anything to you because you got this. You see. You know what's going to happen? You're going to keep sinning. You're going to keep doing the same old thing. So the whole purpose of not sinning is so that you could call upon God, the Most High, and he hear you and he come to the rescue like he did Onias. Onias is his cat. And he sent the troops. He said, you got my man bent all down on the ground like this ain't going for this. God showed up for him. He showed up for him. Showed up and showed out. Because he feared the Most High. He's like, this ain't supposed to be done. He was standing up for what was right. He was relentless, resilient. He didn't lose a faith. He stayed with what was right. And he kept calling upon the Most High, and the Lord showed up. The Most High doesn't show up for sinners. Whether we labor in this case a sinner, somebody, you know what, I'm not saying that the Most High is not showing up for people. The Bible is saying that the Most High, if you in sin, the Most High is not showing up for you. Because he's not hearing you. Now we know that God, this is John 9:31. Now we know that God heard not sinners. But if any man be a worshiper of God and do his will, him he hear it. You could be in the truth for 2 years. And everything that the Most High showed you, you're doing it. The Most High is not going to label you as the sinner that the next person will label you as. And you might not know the same thing that the person has been around 20 years know. Now, they're two different levels. Now, let's just say the person that has been around 20 years is doing everything that the Most High told him to do. And you've been around 2 years and you're doing everything that the Lord told you to do. Well, the person who is not God that's been around 20 years will look at you and be like, you ain't on my level. You're a sinner. But the Most High might not look at you as the sinner that the 20-year veteran will see. Because how we see and how God sees is two different ways. So you, the servant of the Lord, the Most High. And to you, you stand or fail. And the Most High say you stand because everything that he given to you thus far, you've been able to do it. It's the 20-year guy. He better make sure that over all of that time, which is quite a bit of deal, he better make sure that he has been doing the thing that the Most High told him to do instead of looking at you. I understand that?
Yes, sir.
Therefore, when you cry out, you can get heard too. You don't look at the other person that's been around 20 years vet and say, he ain't going to come for me because I ain't been around. That's BS. All you got to do is do what he tell you to do. You can call the Lord to show up and show out. But remember, as we go back, let's go back. When he showed up for Onias, we're going to 2 Maccabees 3. When he showed up for Onias, there was a things transpired. It didn't come at the first call, but he knew he was going to come. He was just letting folly and rebuke exalt itself so that he can come and crush it. And he can send that message, and he was going to whoop and beat him on all that. He already knew, the Lord already knew he was going to do all of that stuff. Onias didn't know. So sometimes we got to have patience and keep the faith and be able to long suffer after a long time. Long suffer for a long time while we wait upon the Lord. Thing is, you got to know that, okay, the Lord will come. The Lord gonna come. That's how you got to be, man. All right. So, verse 39.
This is 2 Maccabees chapter 3 and 39. For he that dwelleth in heaven hath his eye on that place.
For he that dwelleth in heaven hath his eye on that place. Go ahead.
And defendeth it.
Right. And we got to believe that. Go ahead.
And he beateth and destroyeth them that come to hurt it.
Right. We have got to believe that. And he will beat and destroy anybody that comes to hurt us. Okay. Let's go back to, remember, Deuteronomy 7 and 6, right? It says that we are that people, that holy nation above all people. So the Most High would protect us. All right. First Maccabees 1. Verse 41.
This is First Maccabees chapter 1 and 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and every one should leave his laws, so that all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. For the king has sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land, and forbid burnt offerings, and sacrifice, and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days, and pollute the sanctuary and holy people, set up altars and groves, chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts.
So if you notice, the nations, the whole deal is to get you away from serving the Most High and get you into their vibration of how they want to live and how they want things to be. And colonize you into being some type of wicked kingdom and people outside of the Most High, not dealing with the Most High. That's the whole idea. That's what leaving the laws is all about. Okay. To bring you into servitude, captivity, to make you to be some people that don't follow the Most High. Even today, with all the television programming, because the television programming is telling you not to follow the Most High. Television programming is telling you to follow and do what they want you to do. Go to 1 Peter 4. Go to 1 Peter chapter 4. You'd be surprised after watching TV and listening to the radio, the things that you become interested in. First Peter chapter 4 and verse 3.
This is 1 Peter chapter 4 and 3. For the time past of our life may suffice us to have wrought the will of the Gentiles.
All right, stop. The time past. This is Israel as a nation. And this is what Peter is teaching Israel. He said in the past, our life did allow us to rough, meaning to work. See the next 5 words, the will of the Gentiles, because we were tricked into doing it. They commanded it, they put it in front of us. Bunch of wicked neighbors went out, did it. We thought that it was harmless, and then we end up doing it too. Give you an example. Cat house come to town. Strip club come to town. Open up. You got men that go up in there. The next thing you know, they set an example for the neighbors, and then their neighbors going up in there. Wednesday nights, ladies' nights. They got married, and it goes like that. You will have the same abominable place without respect of persons for both genders. Now, Wendy's on Wednesday, ladies' night, women up in there seeing male strippers. Average woman, you thought, oh, this was a housewoman. This woman's supposed to be respectful. This woman, this, that, and the third. She's up in there too. People set examples for other people. The whole objective is to suck the whole nation of Israel into chaos, into sin. So once they get you liking something, it's like a dope dealer. Once they get you liking something, you need it. Like the dope man, he put you on dope, he need it. Now, you need the club. You need the party. You need the clothes. That's why women can't, no matter how the Koreans and Chinese people do us, no matter how they do you as black women, you still go up in the shops. Because they created what? A demand. They created demand. Instead of you being natural, wearing your natural hair, you go up. If they only sold perm and shampoo, you still go. You still go. You still go. If they only sold hair, fake hair, glue, and combs, you still go. Despite that they don't patronize not one so-called African-American business. Not freaking one of them. They can have a flat tire in front of a black man's tire shop. Pookie's Tires. They call it AAA. The black man be like, I'm right here with the tire. Just come on in. I will fix your tire. They pretend. Me speaking no English. They will pretend not to even speak English. They would not go up in there. We are working we are doing that. I'm iterating on this because we don't understand that we like under a spell. Everything that you do pertaining to sin, you have been programmed to do it. That's why our children do not listen to us. They got to have sex. The Gentiles are programming them to have sex. They use adults. Hey, sit down with your children. And those actors that be in high school kissing, pause the TV, get the real name of the actor, and Google the actor. You're going to see that doggone actor is 30 years old, 27 years old, with no facial hair. Tongue kissing another adult. That's why they don't get in trouble. Hollywood don't get in trouble because they don't really use real children. They use adults, Valencia. The people that you see on TV are adults. They have always used adults. All the ones that was, all the wizards of Waverly, whatever that is, Waverly Place, those are adults playing children. Hannah Montana, when y'all fell in love with Hannah Montana, that was an adult. That doggone girl was grown. She was not y'all's age looking at her. Y'all fascinated. Oh. All the kids, when she got a boyfriend, they were both young adults. They'll go through thousands of actors to couple up and get the right look for that. Oh, you look young enough. Oh yeah, you look young enough. You can pay. You can pass for 17 years old when for real he's 27. Small frame, baby face, 27 years old. That's the truth. So in time past, we did work the will of the Gentiles. They actually wanted to. You already just read it in Maccabees. Leave your laws, leave all of that stuff alone. And you think that they're going to command you to do it? A lot of times they did force us, but now it's a habit. Smoking cigarettes and all of that stuff. It's a habit. Before you thought that you wasn't going to get cancer, now people dropping dead. People thought that, it was just a casual gateway thing. Now they addicted. And they addicted to the point to where they can't even provide and take care of themselves. They ain't even sober no more. Why are you doing that? Because I want to do it. No, that's the will of the Gentiles that you're doing. And you don't really realize that. It's witchcraft. Smoking drugs, witchcraft. Clubbing, witchcraft. Casual sex, witchcraft. You don't just use your body just to be using it. You got to use it to start a family. If you ain't doing that, nobody should even be looking at you like that. Witchcraft, will of the Gentiles. They want you to have babies so that you can create servants for them. When you're in captivity, you don't even control yourself. You know that number that they give you, you instill in prison. That SSN number, same thing as a prison number. They keep track of you. They give you that number to keep track of you. The fingerprints to keep track of you. You say, you belong to me. So you have the children, especially you have your children out of wedlock, you don't control them. They're going to control your children. You keep the motel in business. You keep the liquor store in business. You keep the tobacco industry booming. And drugs, you keep that popping too. How is it that you can have a farm with all unclean animals that you're not supposed to have and somebody get rich? You got a farm with nothing but horses, kangaroos, and pigs, and you can be a millionaire. Animal die, they can slaughter it up and mix all those things together and season it with some salt and pepper and turn it into a sausage, and you eat it. That's the will of the Gentiles. They throw that net in the ocean, and whatever it comes up, they come and sell it. The will of the Gentiles. And then you think that, oh, I'm eating good because I'm eating lobster. The will of the Gentiles. They programmed you to do that, but from the beginning, it was never so. Now let's listen to the will of the Gentiles. First Peter 4 and verse 3 started where it says, when we walked in lasciviousness. Lascivious is a strong sexual desire. You walk down the street looking for girls, that's what they want you to do. They don't want you to go home and mind your business and keep your zipper up and for you to keep your skirts down. They don't want you to do that. They want you to be nasty and trifling. They want you to do it. And you don't even understand why, because they want you to have a baby, even though they got Planned Parenthood. Even though in your mind you think that they trying to genocide you off the face of the earth. Let me ask you a question. If you ran the world, listen, let me ask you a question, an educated question. Use common sense. Because I got my answer already with myself. It's just my opinion. If you ran the world and you had servants, you would want your servants to stop producing. Right. No. You want me to tell you why? Because when you have children, you ain't stop producing. When you have children, those children, your children need children to run. Because what if we never had children and then we all just died? And what happened to the reproduction thing? So they don't want you to die. They got you deceived into thinking so. Now, it says in lust, everything that means your mentality goes astray. They love for your mental to wander and drift off from the book, from the culture. The next time somebody say, "Oh, you on a cult," you know what I want you to tell them? Listen up. Tell them finish the word. Say yes. Finish the word. I am in a culture. I have returned into the culture of the Bible. And it tells us to do this. Well, why ain't you doing your culture? Why ain't you following the ways of the Bible? Instead of letting your mind drift off. Access of wine. Every time you look up, you got a nice fat glass of wine. People love when you see these shows, they all come in and do what? Go to the liquor cabinet. High percentage of television, right? They go to the liquor cabinet, they pour these Edomites, they pour something strong, right? Or the sophisticated Edomites, the women, they go for the wine. They go pour a glass. And then they got us, Israelites. Go into the kitchen, they get home, they kick off their shoes, they go into the kitchen and they pour a glass of wine before anything. If you're doing that every day, access of wine. Revelings, looking for the party. That's the will of the Gentiles. We're programmed to do this. Banquetings, and there's people out there that's it. I'm finna go to the cookout. Yeah. Why am I saying this? What's wrong with the banquet? Whereas the righteousness there, ain't nothing going on righteous. Worldly music that's programming you, worldly people, you're gonna feeling like, oh, I missed this. Guys going, woman's got 6-inch heels on, her and her friends. Girls, you come and you got some long dress, and it's, it might be rubbing the ground, but then there's another one. The women there, they either got tight pants on, guys think they cute, or they got a short mini skirt on, or whatever. The complete opposite. You like, I remember I used to dress like that. I used to dress cute. I remember that. This, that, and the third. Yeah. Personally, I see young guys, and they spend all money on clothes, and they like, oh, this is the style now. We call it drip. You know what I say? Oh man, I remember I used to really dress really nice and fly, stuff like that. And I tell them, in my time, I don't even want to put you to shame. That stuff you couldn't even pronounce. I'll come out and everything out, $1,000. But I see that today. I don't want to be like that because I don't like that's a waste of money. That's a waste of it. I don't want to do that. I'm not envious. The scriptures say envy not a sinner. So I'm not envious of that. But if you going into the banquet and you going to the parties, you going to the cookouts, you doing this, that, and the third, will of the Gentiles. That's going to be a stumbling block for you. Somebody that's been around long as I have been around, this not a stumbling. It better not be no stumbling block for you. You're supposed to be wiser and smarter than that. They make a killing off selling you those $300 sneakers, $500 blue jeans, $200 belts. They make a money off of that. $200 shirt. Make a money off of that. All of it's unlawful. I mean, we was one time walking around with Versace on our shirt. Romans, pagans, and abominable idolatries. So that, that's what they was priming Israel for that, to work their will. So now let's go back to Maccabees. And the thing about it is a lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't understand it. But in their time, they'll see it, they'll get it. That's why our job is just to show it to them, say, hey, consider this the scriptures, this what's going on, and then keep it moving. Let them put it together. Or come back and ask you, hey, show me that again. I'm interested in that. But you don't start calling people stupid and dumb and disrespect them and things like that.
Just a quick point. Just to go with working the will of the Gentiles. Gentiles. I was at work today, and we said we ain't doing nothing. We there with the custodians, just watching the building, buzzing people in or whatever. And we be watching the first 48, right? And so one part, it'd be two parts in two different cities, and one, it was in New Orleans on Beale Street, where they do like the Mardi Gras like that. The wickedness of that, all that partying and reveling, right? So this is how Esau, it's all a trick and a scheme to get Israel to do the things that they doing so that the Most High can destroy it. So it was a shooting on Beale Street at night involving a Jake and some Edomites. So they doing their investigations, they trying to find out, who these guys are. But at the end, towards the end of the clip or of that scene, they showed a news because they found some suspects and they put them on the news to see if people come forward. And it was a Jake news reporter. So you know that the news reporters, they be scripted, right? On how they like they speech and they sentences and describing what's going on. This woman said out her mouth, and I caught it. I was just chilling, watching it, doing whatever, and I caught it. She said, we're investigating, looking for suspects who ruined Mardi Gras on a famous Beale Street. And she said, as the shots rang out, look at the for the suspects and how the revelers are scattering and running. She said that on her own mother. And that came from a script. Esau knows when it comes to Israel, Esau knows what's evil for us. You know what I'm saying? And then they put all these props in our way so we can go for their will and then end up being destroyed by the Most High. It was a Jake reporter that was she'd be reading off the script and said, watch how the revelers scatter as the gunfire ring out. He said that woman just said, watch how the revelers scatter. So they know what it means too. You know what I'm saying? And it's just a point and an aspect to go with the scriptures that when the Most High say that we work in the will of the Gentiles, we're literally working the will of the Gentiles. And the Gentiles know that we're working their will. Only people that don't know and don't want to know is Israel. So I didn't mean to take it, but that's just a point about that precept.
All right. So they know that you're reveling.
Right.
They know what revelry is. They know what revelry is, and yet they allow you to set up places and spots to revel.
And the Most High judged them. Like they said, a woman died that was fresh out of. They said she had so much going for herself. I think she just got her law degree or something like that, and she came out to party before she went to another phase in her education and whatnot. Ain't never harmed a fly, so they say. But she the one laying dead from, you know what I'm saying, random gunfire. Like 9 people. That's judgment because of the revelry.
Right. All right. So let's go back to Maccabees. Did you stop?
48.
All right. So they're telling you lead the laws, and they set up. Remember in verse 46, they polluted the sanctuary, they polluted Israel, they give you all of this stuff. So when they set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, that means they set up other means and ways of to worship idols. All right. Just like today, what you see Baptist, Catholic, Pentecostal, Seventh-day Adventist. You see all these different world religions. Those are the altars and groves and chapels of idols. You go into the hospital, there's a chapel. Go down the hall and to the right, go in. You see the little idol that's in the back. You see crosses and all that type of stuff. Yeah, this is what it's talking about. So it's the same thing happening today. It's a bigger scale now. And Israel has joined in to the point to where they refuse to return back unto the Lord. All right. They're working the will of the Gentiles and fighting for it. Our people, they fight. In Christianity, like, yo, I'm a Christian. Christ didn't even call himself a Christian. He didn't even create anything called Christianity. Say worship a philosophy that the Romans came up with. He didn't even do that. But yet, this is what Israel does. All right. Read on.
This is First Maccabees 1:48. They shall also leave their children uncircumcised, and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation.
Yeah, do whatever you want to do. That's how Israel walks around. Do whatever you want to do. That's how they said. Leave your children uncircumcised, untaught, uncorrected. Do what you want to do. It's okay. Go ahead.
To the end they might forget the law.
Why was they doing all of that? Right. They're doing it all so that you can forget laws. That's the whole purpose. Follow us, forget him. Follow us, forget him. Who is him? The Most High, your God. Go ahead.
And change all the ordinances.
Right. Change what's some of the ordinances that would be changed? Change the Sabbath day. Right now, change the Sabbath day. Yep. No, ain't no high holy days in the Bible. You ain't got to do that. We're going to create some for you. Who's Patrick? We've got who's Patrick? You know Patrick in the scriptures. St. Patrick's Day. And say you don't have to worry about it. We got you. And you can still love God. Here's Halloween. The list goes on and on. They don't have to be, separation, mother and father. Instead of honor your father and mother, they put the father out. They put the father out. They're going to honor the mother because the mother carries the baby. So we want her and she can produce more babies. We don't want the men because the men can create an army. They can rebel. The woman, She's gonna save her life and the life of her child. So many things. But you gotta see this. All right. Go ahead.
Verse 50, and whoso would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die. In the selfsame manner wrote he to his whole kingdom, and appointed overseers over all the people, commanded the cities of Judah to sacrifice city by city.
Right, making them change. Making them change. Commanding them to do it. Now, are you commanded to do it now? Oh, they don't make you do it. Oh, but you know what? They're gonna come back and try and make you do something. Did y'all read the articles that I sent? From front to bottom. And Trump said he wants to use a military force to bring the vaccine out. Did y'all understand the other thing? About the negative interest rate? Sure. That's the last thing that we want to see. Oh, it's gonna happen anyway though. What's the negative interest rate? Might sounds good. A negative interest rate is when they loan money to people. Watch out because it might be coming. A negative interest rate is y'all might say, well, that sounds good. 0% interest. That's not good. A negative interest rate is when now you pay them because they pay. So they charge you to have a bank account. Nobody wants to do that. So they're skeptical because those same banks, the same thing that a lot of brothers and sisters been saying for a long time. And it vexes the hell out of me. Hell is in the Bible, so I'm gonna say that. It vexes the hell out of me because they set the bank up on the corner. We deposit our money into the bank. They will not give you a loan. You can't start a business. Redlining is still in effect. They set the bar so high. That's why your minimum wage, your wage is set there, so you cannot excel. They set the prices, make a house 400,000. Oh, you got good credit, okay. Let me tell y'all something. They might as well call me a nigga. A couple months ago, for educational purposes only. True story. A couple months ago, I got a credit score of 850.
You said don't ever tell nobody.
I did. And don't ever tell nobody. I gotta tell them how they called me a nigga. True story. 850. That's the ceiling. I can't go no higher. I'm looking for ways to get higher. You can't go no higher. So I like to play games. Like Saw. Let's play games. So I know how to play games with the banks. That's how I got there. I was working hard, paying bills, this, that, and the third. So going to this bank, I got money in this bank. Actually, the truth is, it's the school's money. It's all of our money. And the reason why I did it, because I'm like, sometimes I have to use my personal credit card to buy things when we don't have enough to buy things. And I get the credit, unlimited. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to build, get something separate for the school so that I don't have to use my personal credit card to do it. I use the school's credit card to do it, and then that way we make the payments in the system. Because when I use my personal, then I'm in a rush to pay it back because I want my own stuff cleared. So anybody, y'all can understand that, right? You understand it, right? Okay. So I like it clear because I run my own business off my own credit card. So if I got $5,000 tied up because we had to buy something for the school, now I'm making $40, $35 payments in this third when I actually need that to run my own stuff. So I go and I said, I want this credit card. And I'm like, it's like, well, I said, well, y'all got different cards. What's the limit? They said, well, we got one 30,000, and then I don't know. I said, okay, well, give me that one then. I try for that one then. He said, okay, but I believe it's because I'm black and brown. At the time I was traveling, I was on the road when I think I went to Ohio maybe a few months ago. So they said, well, we want you to do something. We want your W-2s. And I'm like, what? I said, why you need my W-2s? You got my credit report. I ain't had my credit report ran in some years. I do everything. I'm strategic when it comes to that. You don't need to run my credit. I'm already good. If I'm bouncing like this in the 800s. So if I'm at 800 something, 50, you don't need to. I already know. As a matter of fact, what I'm saying is, I don't need to do nothing else. You understand? I've been like this for years. I've been in the 800s for years. So when I tell you to do something, either put your foot on it or keep going. So if I'm established for years, I don't need to have my credit ran because I don't need nothing else. I don't want nothing else. I don't just go and buy something because somebody's selling it. My car start up and go, I'm cool. These people asked me for that. I was offended. You already grabbed my credit score. I ain't never been late, ever, with anything. What do you need that for? I turn around and give it to them because you still got to pay tax. I turn around and give them my W-2s, my tax returns. They still wouldn't give me the card. I said, well, what did you ask me for? That's calling me a nigga. That's like, regardless of whatever you bring us, you ain't finna get our card. I was outdone. I felt that they didn't do me like that until they found out I was black. And they didn't find out I was black until they talked to me on the phone. I said, okay. That was crazy. So I've been minded to take the money out, move it to another bank. I'm gonna get back into this, what we're talking about. What is negative interest rates? So I'm gonna take the school money out and reinvest it in another bank that's gonna give us a card, and then we'll be able to do whatever it is, Shalom, that we need to do. So there's two sides to it, and you gotta be careful. And it's coming, so you gotta listen. I'm gonna sum it up because I did do the research and the reading. Negative interest rates When they get into that, that means the bank to hold money in that bank from the feds, from the Treasury, the United States Treasury, it costs them. They have to pay to do that. That changes. Meaning they're not paying to do it now. It means that they will have to pay to do it. They don't want to pay, but they want you to pay.
Right.
They have to pay, they don't want to pay.
Right.
The next thing is for you to have money in their bank, you'd have to pay them to keep your money safe. Nobody wants to pay for a bank account. That's why it's called free checking, free account. For all of you that got savings accounts, you don't pay for them to keep your money. You want me to tell you why? Because their bank is full of your damn money. And you know what they take your money do? They take your money and make money off of it. So what's going to happen if it goes into a negative interest? Everybody is going to, first of all, the Fed is going to stop sending money to them because they're going to decline it. And everybody at one time going to run up to the bank and say, give me all my money. Because when they tell you that you got to pay, you're going to be like, I ain't paying. I want my money. Everybody going to run up into there and get your money. Like, I'm going to run up in them motherfuckers that, excuse me. I'm going to run up in there. They don't know. Soon as I get an opportunity, I'm going to run up in there and say, give me all my money. Give me all the money. You wouldn't even give me a card, and I got all of this right here, and you wouldn't. I know it is because it is here. It ain't because I ain't trustworthy. If you think I'm lying, who in here know I ain't lying about the 8, about the credit score? You see? So all y'all know I ain't lying. No, I ain't lying. It's there. I can do whatever I want to do. It's there.
Correct.
And they did that. That's people telling you, we don't care who you are. It ain't for sale. Just like that.
My only pass it in my head.
Whites only, these whites only cards. Whites on these cards. Okay, I got you. So now, if they do that, you won't be able to get your money. So pay attention. The sauce thickens. You will not be able to get your money. Your money will be stuck in the bank. Your money will be stuck in the bank. So how do you get it?
No.
They wanted the whole purpose. Never,
I'm saying I ain't going.
ever. Yeah. Listen, your money gonna be stuck in the bank. I got the article. Read it for yourself. As boring as it sounds, you cannot have knowledge of finances if you don't study finances and know and understand how they work.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of countries already did it. Changed over to the crypto dollar. That's digital. And what's the other one? Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
That's digital. Don't let the word coin fool you. It's digital. So you never get a check again. You never get a dollar bill again. It'd be worthless. You could just take that stuff and just throw that out on the ground. Once that come, it'd be worthless. The dollar bill gonna be worthless. So they're trying to figure out a way how to bring it on in. I know how they're gonna bring it in. They're gonna start giving you money. They're gonna create the necessity, the demand, so that you can work their will. And they're gonna be able to then implement it so that you can go and get it and keep it. So in order to get it, you're gonna have to get that chip. What is it?
You might answer, because you was like, once that get implemented, you ain't gonna be able to get your money, right? But then you just said that the money is gonna be worthless. Cause I was gonna say, so do we run and take money out and keep the cash? But then you said the money gonna be worthless. So how do we get around that? Do we keep our money in the bank and then it can get transferred over and we can still utilize it? Or how does that work then? We're gonna have to take the chip. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I'm telling you, don't do it, but if you want to spend your money, yeah, you want to take
You're
it.
gonna have to go get it and spend it up before the chip comes or whatever, the Bitcoin. Yeah.
Yep, that's why I'm telling you. Well, don't be reckless, because I don't know the day nor the hour. So don't be reckless. But you got to get the things that you need
Right.
while you have an opportunity. And you're going to have to, because you don't know, you're going to have to be able to be willing to lose, because you still got to operate. You still got to pay bills. You still need money to pay bills, and you still trying to keep it safe so you ain't robbed or whatever, but you still got to do certain things. But you have to get the things, you got to get the things that you need. So, we kind of understand that, what I'm saying.
So, because I comprehend very, very well. I understand exactly what you're saying. The thing is, do we start taking our money? Like, when does that time frame happen? Because the government is not gonna just tell you, just like anybody said in the movie 2012, the government ain't gonna tell you is everything gonna hit the fan and the whole world off the plane. They just gonna do it. So when does that process phase in? Do we just start getting the money and putting it in safe? So what, you know what I'm saying? Or just leave it there? Like, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's why I said I don't know the day nor the hour.
But I understand what you just said.
So let me read some of the article. All right, let me read some of the article. It says what negative interest rates would do for real estate investors. Although it says for real estate investors, it's talking about people period in America. All right. While it's hard to imagine what a negative interest rate economy would look like in America, it's not unfoundable. Japan and various countries across Europe have had negative interest rates for years. So I mean, they're doing it now. And after the recent federal rate cut, which brought the federal base down to 0 and 0.5%. So, because they didn't want to go into the negative, because if they go into the negative, then now the Federal Reserve has got to start charging the banks for holding the money. And then the banks have got to start charging you, which will make you run and get your money from them. And they use your money to invest by lending it to other people. They make money off of us. Right. So we understand that, right? All right. The idea that the United States could have negative interest rates in the very near future is becoming more of a reality than ever before. As Congress and local municipalities take aggressive measures to try and prevent the spread of the coronavirus. So remember, now they throw the virus in there on why they're trying to do this, that, and the third, right? Remember, This world, this thing has got to come down. America's got to come down. America's got to change. It's got to happen because Jacob got next. So with that being said, you know, they have to have a reason. They can't help it. They fulfilling Bible prophecy. So they can't help it. They can't stop it if they wanted to. And it's going to come down in a collapse and economy, civil unrest, war. It's going to come down in a lot of different ways. All right. So it says the slowdown the economy is feeling today is just the beginning. The true impact it will have on the economy is still unknown and will be for quite some time. That's what I say. I don't know the day nor the hour. But we got to start wrapping our minds around truth. You can't close your eyes to the truth and be like, oh, this ain't going to happen. I don't want it to happen. Why do you want another nation to stay on top of you when they walking on white sand and blue skies and blue oceans and on boats and yachts, and you down here with trash in the street? Shit, if it takes this country to fall for us to come on up and get next, then so be it. You understand this? So this is when you want the thing to come fall and happen. But the thing is, you got to spiritually be ready for it to happen. Because the same way that deliverance have always come to our forefathers, deliverance gonna come to us too. And this is the beginning of it. We're reading, that's what the day of Simon is about. All right. Why would interest rates go negative? The goal of low and even negative interest rates is to promote borrowing and purchasing by consumers. So listen to this. The goal of low and even negative interest rates is to promote borrowing and purchasing by the consumers. They gotta want you to purchase. You gotta want to purchase. You gotta have a need to buy and sell. So they're gonna take something away and then have the necessity for you to buy and sell. Because they gotta, according to scriptures, they gotta get this marking to where in Revelation 13 and 16 and 17 that no man can buy and sell. So they gotta stimulate you. You understand? They gotta get you turned on. They gotta get you aroused. All right, that's a good point. Food gonna be worth more than money. Yeah. All right. So it says when rates are low, the cost of borrowing is low, which is in a perfect world means people will spend money. So when the rates are low, it's going to be at a negative. Do you know what that means? Yes, I told you about the other things that pay attention, that they would charge you to have their money. But remember, they also, if it's in a negative, that means that they will give you money without you owing any interest. So if you borrow, say for instance, you ever seen, most of y'all seen something come in the mail with your little credit, with the credit card thing. Oh, you can get $10,000. You can get a loan for $10,000. Well, you borrowed $10,000, you pay $10,000 back. So they want the economy to look at it like that. When the truth is, who ain't gonna go for that? Everybody would go for that. You understand? Everybody would go for that. The average, do you know that when you buy a mortgage, when you get a mortgage on a house, a 30-year mortgage, and say for instance, the loan is $175,000. At the end of the 30 years, you paid over $300,000 back. Yeah. So now let's just say we do the math. Somebody do the math. You get $175,000 loan and divide that by 800. And it's all interest. It's all principal. How long is it going to take you to pay that loan back? This is what they're going to tempt you with to get you to take the mortgage.
218.75.
218.75.
218.75.
218.75.
So let's just say 219. Now divide that by 12 and you're going to get the years.
18.
18 years. Yes, that ain't a lot of time. That ain't a lot of time. You could pay that back. Every payment that you make is coming down off the principal. 18 years, that's not a lot of time. Okay? So people will go for that. Now, but negative interest rates are not a preferred way to stimulate the economy, and therefore usually employed as a last resort and to try to grow the economy through difficult economic times. What would a negative interest rate environment look like? That's the heading. In a positive interest rate environment, those borrowing money, that's this positive interest rate. Those borrowing money pay interest to the lender in addition to the principal amount borrowed. The higher the interest rate, the more you pay to borrow the money. This applies to all borrowers, including consumers getting a business or home loan, or lending institutions borrowing and lending money in the short term. Additionally, in a positive interest rate environment, banks pay a nominal interest rate for money held in accounts. In a positive interest rate environment, like right now, that's why sometimes you get a few cents and this, that, and the third. They paying you money. Everybody understand that, right? Okay. Which currently ranges from 1% to 2.5. That's why you don't get a lot of money. You have your money in there all year, right, Kenyatta? What you learning? Nothing. You have your money in the bank all year, and you wonder why you got $3. That's because the interest rate ain't but 1% to 2.5. That's nothing. In a negative interest rate environment, I'm explaining this to us so that you can see the wave. It sounds like, okay, this, no, they trying to get you. So in a negative interest rate environment, it would be the exact opposite. Consumers will pay the bank to hold their money each month. And hypothetically, if mortgage rates ever hit 0% or below, lenders would pay the consumers to borrow money. Lenders would pay the consumer to borrow money, meaning they will pay you. They don't want to do that. But that situation is extremely unlikely. This also means lending institutions would have to pay each other to borrow money in the short term from bank to bank. Oh, let me get this from you. Okay, you're going to owe me that. To give money to you with no interest. Negative interest rates would directly affect bond and treasury yields and disrupt the financial market. Since saving money would cost consumers, most would be prompt to withdraw their money from the bank, saving or spending money, searching for a return that can beat the rate of inflation. This could lead to a bank run where there is a rush of people attempting to withdraw their money from the financial institutions all at once, which is especially concerning considering the Federal Reserve just lowered the bank's lending reserve ratio to 0. So that means that the Federal Reserve didn't give them 0. So if they didn't get 0 and we all ran up to the same bank to get our money, that means that bank gonna run out of money. Because what did the bank do? Before this happened, the bank did what with our money? Gave it out to other people, loaning and making money and looking for a return, and they taking it in and payments, this, that, and the third, keeping a racket till it going, right? But if we all just crashed the bank saying, oh, we want our money, and it takes $70-something thousand to give all our money and they don't have that money, we all messed up. That's what that would do to us. Then it says, which means the banks are no longer required to have a single penny in reserves to max customer deposits. Do you not hear that? The bank will no longer be required to have a single penny in reserve. Reserve meaning what's behind me to match your deposit. You can put You can put $800 and something. I'm gonna make it real so you can see and understand. You can put $800 in there. Behind them, they ain't got nothing because they ain't gave it out digitally. So it ain't gonna match. It ain't gonna match your deposit. You come back the next day. We want our money. All of us. They're like, we don't have our money. We don't have your money. That's coming. That's coming. That's a little more. I finished because it's almost done. Let's see what else they giving us and telling on itself. That's what this is, right? Okay.
You know.
Last paragraph. Right now, no one, the Fed included. So that's what they call the Fed. Whenever you hear somebody say the Fed, they're talking about the reserve. Okay. Remember what is that? Die Hard. What Bruce Willis was trying to keep those guys in the armored trucks from robbing the Federal Reserve in New York. Everybody remember that? Y'all saw Die Hard with Bruce Willis? That's like my favorite movie. Yes, I love Die Hard. Remember him and Samuel Jackson was in Central Park, and he had to, and Bruce Willis had to wear the sign saying that I hate niggas.
Yeah, they don't know shit.
Y'all don't know that?
They don't know the movie, man.
Oh man,
My son has that word. I ain't seen the movie.
Die Hard. So it's all in the sequence. I had that John on VHS. So anyway, it was trying. So you had some villains trying to rob the Federal Reserve that was full of gold. All right. So that when it said the Feds, that's what it's talking about. It says the Fed included knows. No one knows, not even the Feds, knows whether we'll adopt negative interest rates. But at the same time being, they are taking every measure possible to keep the United States out of negative interest rate territories for as long as possible. It's going there. It's going there because they have to go to a cashless in order to control and say that you ain't gonna be able to buy or sell. It's gotta go there. So it's going there. And that's the way that they're going to bring it into what they call Americas. They're gonna stimulate and get and seduce you to want to buy and sell. Okay. They're gonna start giving you money. That's what the stimulus stuff is about. They're gonna start giving. They begin to give you money, and then when it's going into the cashless thing like that, you know. Yeah. And they're gonna seduce you with the no interest rate. You can get a loan. You know how many people want businesses? Yeah. They're gonna give you money. In order to get that, you're gonna have to come digital. And that's against the scriptures. So our mothers and cousins and nieces and uncles and aunties and all our family relatives that don't believe in the scriptures, they're gonna do it. 2/3 of the people gonna do it. That's a lot. That's majority. So there's people that's gonna. So you're gonna be able to go to the average McDonald's like you used to go. Oh, let me just stop in here and get some gas. You ain't gonna be able to do it. You ain't gonna be able to do it. So you're gonna have to be self-sustainable. You're gonna be able to function well. And then others that do have it, then we get back to our lesson. We're gonna finish this. Get back to our lesson. And others without it, I showed this one news article to where people that wasn't practicing social distancing, they was told to call in on them, right? What is that priming them for? Okay, you don't have that, you give us a call. You notice this people, because guess what you're going to be trying to do? You're going to be trying to, no. You're going to be trying to take from them. Because everybody ain't in truth. People ain't following Christ. There's a lot of people that got some sense that say, I ain't taking that. I know people all over saying, I ain't taking that. They don't follow the Messiah. They don't follow the Most High. They don't follow the scriptures, but they still saying they ain't taking it. So what are they going to become to do? They're going to become the next villains and robbers and thieves and stuff like that. And they're going to get the man called on them. Oh, he's trying to take from me. Why is he trying to take? You already know why he's trying to take, because he can't go up into the store himself and get it. So when you already see somebody hustling to do that, you're gonna be like, I'm finna call in on him because he ain't gonna rob me. He'll rob me. He'll rob my wife. He'll do this. He'll do that. Because they don't believe in the scripture. They're gonna just do the next thing. You know, people put tattoos and piercings all over their body, so they ain't gonna be caring. A lot of people don't even read. A lot of people don't even know that that's in there. They gonna do it. It's coming. Whether in our lifetime or another generation, but guess what? The door is being knocked on. And the government is answering. So all of these things that I'm telling you, you know, what day and hour, I do not know. But these are all the signs that they headed in that direction. And I didn't write these articles. These are whistleblowers. People that's telling you we at that moment. All right. So tell you what, we're gonna skip the rest of the lesson and let's get to the meat. Let's go to First Maccabees 13. I hate to do this, but it's 10 o'clock. So Simon is one of the Maccabees brothers. So the Most High in the second chapter of first book of Maccabees, the Lord rose up Mattathias and his sons to deliver Israel. So when you get to the 13th chapter, this is when the Most High used Simon to deliver. So start at there, chapter 13 and verse 1.
First Maccabees 13 and 1. Now when Simon heard that Tryphon had gathered together a great host to invade the land of Judea and destroy it, and saw that the people was in great trembling and fear, he went up to Jerusalem and gathered the people together, and gave them exhortation, saying, Ye yourselves know what great things I and my brethren and my father's house have done for the laws and the sanctuary, the battles also and troubles which we have seen, by reason whereof all my brethren are slain for Israel's sake, and I am left alone. Now therefore be it far from me that I should spare mine own life in any time of trouble, for I am no better than my brother.
So stop. Are we not saying this brother and his whole family? At this point, all the brothers are dead, and he is left alone. And he's like, this shows for this lineage and for this bloodline a great and a beautiful thing that they sacrificed their life, helping Israel their whole life. They didn't go astray and this, that, and the third. Israel, we have to raise our families to fight the fight, to fight the war of Israel, to fight the wars of ignorance. You know, so we got to raise our family to fight the war of ignorance and to teach our people, the Israelites. All right. So where'd you stop at?
Verse 6.
Verse 6.
Doubtless,
go ahead.
Doubtless I will avenge my nation and the sanctuary and our wives and our children for all the heathen are gathered to destroy us of a very malice. Now, as soon as the people heard these words, their spirit revived.
Right, because he showed them an example. It's like, man, we put it all out there. Me, my family, my father, everything. And when they heard that, it's like, wow, their spirit revived in us, meaning they had hope. Go ahead.
And they answered with a loud voice, saying, Thou shalt be our leader instead of Judas and Jonathan thy brother. Fight thou our battles, and whatsoever thou commandest us, that will we do. So then he gathered together all the men of war, and made haste to finish the walls of Jerusalem, and he fortified it round about. Also he sent Jonathan the son of Absalom, and with him a great power to Joppa.
And notice also he was able to take over and take charge because he learned a lot. That's why we have to walk in one another's footsteps. We have to learn a lot from one another. Okay, go ahead.
Who casting out them that were therein remained there in it. So Tryphon removed from Ptolemais with a great power to invade the land of Judea. And Jonathan was with him in war. But Simon pitched his tents in Adida over against the plain. Now when Tryphon knew that Simon was risen up instead of his brother Jonathan and meant to join battle with him, he sent messengers unto him, saying, Whereas we have Jonathan thy brother in hold, it is for money that he is owing unto the king's treasury, concerning the business that was committed unto him. Wherefore now send in 100 talents of silver and 2 of his sons for hostages, that when he is at liberty, he may not revolt from us, and we will let him go. Hereupon Simon, albeit he perceived that they spake deceitfully unto him, yet sent he the money and the children, lest peradventure he should procure to himself great hatred of the people, who might have said, Because I sent him not the money and the children, therefore is Jonathan dead. So he sent them the children and the 100 talents, howbeit Tryphon dissembled, neither would he let Jonathan go. And after this came Tryphon to invade the land and destroy it, going round about by the way that leadeth unto Adora. But Simon and his host marched against him in every place, wheresoever he went. Now they that were in the tower sent messengers unto Tryphon, to the end that he should hasten his coming unto them by the wilderness, and send them victuals. Wherefore Tryphon made ready all his horsemen to come that night. But there fell a very great snow, by reason whereof he came not. So he departed, and came into the country of Gilead. And when he came near to Bascama, he slew Jonathan, who was buried there. After Tryphon returned and went into his own land, then sent Simon and took the bones of Jonathan his brother, and buried them in Modin, the city of his fathers. And all Israel made great lamentation for him, and bewailed him many days. Simon also built a monument upon the sepulchre of his father and his brother, and raised it aloft to the site with hewn stone behind and before it. Moreover, he set up 7 pyramids, one against another, for his father and his mother and his 4 brethren. And in these he made cunning devices, about the which he set great pillars. And upon the pillars he made all their armor for a perpetual memory, and by the armor ships carved, that they might be seen of all that sail on the sea. This is the sepulchre which he made at Modin, and is standing yet unto this day. Now Tryphon dealt deceitfully with the young king Antiochus, and slew him, and he reigned in his stead, and crowned himself king of Asia, and brought a great calamity upon the land. Then Simon built up the strongholds of Judea, and fenced them about with high towers, and great walls, and gates, and bars, and laid up victuals therein. Moreover, Simon chose men and sent to Demetrius, to the end he should give the land immunity, because all that Tryphon did was to spoil. Unto whom King Demetrius answered and wrote after this manner: King Demetrius, unto Simon the high priest, and friend of kings, As also unto the elders and nation of the Jews send greetings. The golden crown and the scarlet robe which he sent unto us, we have received, and we are ready to make a steadfast peace with you. Yea, and to write unto our officers to confirm the immunities which we have granted. And whatsoever covenants we have made with you shall stand, and the strongholds which ye have builded shall be your own. As for any oversight or fault committed unto this day, we forgive it, and the crown tax also, which ye owe us. And if there were any other tribute paid in Jerusalem, it shall no more be paid.
All right, stop for a second. Like a lot of times I tell you, I be watching these old movies and stuff like that. I know that y'all might not get into it, but this is the type of stuff that actually be happening. They fight over land, they fight over territories, and because they dress old and they look like they got billy clubs and all this, and they riding horses, it doesn't take your interest. But this is exactly how it looks. But you got to start from the beginning, and you have to see the plan and the plot and the characters and see how they escalate and what they be, robbing each other and going in, and they be wanting more land. A lot of them be trying to fight and form allegiance of protection and create bigger armies and stuff like that. This is the same stuff that you read in the scriptures that they be doing. So when he wrote to this King Demetrius, he's writing so that, they could stop being at war. So we would be like, why would he send a crown? Why would he send a robe? Why would he do this? Why would he do that? Do you not know? A lot of times I'm watching these old movies and stuff like they ain't old, but they predict. It's like, oh, they're going back in history to make it, and they do really good jobs at it. They pay for peace. Like when they travel, like the Vikings or whomever, these Edomites, the Greeks, when a lot of them, they would go into England, and then they would come in a bunch of ships. They would send out riders up to the castle or whatever, or to the fortress, to the high walls. Somebody would come out. The king, typically, he would come out with a couple other people, and they would just flat out ask them, how much for you to go away? And then they would start negotiating. They think about it, and sometimes they'd be wanting 2,000 pieces of silver. That's a lot right there. I would say 1,000 pieces of silver. So it just be dependent. Sometimes they want to come in there and see, and they'd be like, well, you ain't coming in, and you won't win this war. So it doesn't make much sense for us to go to war, because you're gonna lose men, we're gonna lose men, and at the end of it, you're still gonna walk away with nothing. So why don't you take this 1,000 pieces of silver and go back to where you came from? So a lot of them, they be wanting to keep the peace, and that's why they are paid. And sometimes, they would hit, and you see how how Herodorius came in to Jerusalem, and he went into the temple. The temple had the gold, but you notice, so the temple, places like that, they would hold the wealth. But in the cities, just certain places, they would have silver, and not so much as gold and silver. But it made me thought about that, because I have put pictures onto certain actions like this that helps explain what went on and why he did it. So I understand why Simon did it. We would be like, I disagree. Let's just go to war. They came up against us. I understand that side too, but he did it to try and save lives. So he sent them those gifts and presents, and Demetrius also accepted it and told them, we accept it, in verse 37, we accept the golden crown. So he sent them a crown and the robe. All right. And we ready to make peace with you, because they could be at war. All right. It says, and to confirm the immunities. Like, you know, immunity meaning you can't hold us guilty for certain acts that was committed, you know, during times of battles and things like that. Because a lot of times it might have been a loss of life of somebody important. And there'll be grudges. So like, yo, this ain't going down. You know, we lost this man, you know, or we lost this man, or we lost this woman, or we lost these people. And people will hold grudges. So it's like, so we're gonna give you immunity, you know, from that. Then it says, whatsoever covenants we have made with you, they're gonna stand. The strongholds which you have built shall be your own. I mean, we ain't gonna come and try and take this stuff from you. So you ain't gotta worry about us, you know, coming up and showing, because when they would show up, and they would show up with thousands. They would show up with hatchets, swords, trained elephants, beasts, slingshots. They would show up, bro, with all kind of stuff. And they're like that. We'll tear this MF city up. We'll burn it. We'll show up with orchards. So you're gonna lose men. So let's negotiate. You know, so it's like negotiate or we're gonna fight. And both sides be willing to fight. So, you know, this is crystal clear to me. All right. And nobody wants to fight. Except some crazies. You know, and of course the ones that are pressuring. Esau is wrong in this, of course. But Simon is not thinking about himself. He's fighting for people. He's trying to save lives and not just, you know, take men out to war. Why would I want to just take people out to war knowing that everybody ain't coming back home? You know what I mean? So he's like, I'm trying to save the life of the least of the brother. And so that's what made him doing that. And we sit in this type of environment, but they in an environment fighting in the mud. They're like, we gotta fight for real. So, you know, what do you do? So he's doing the best that he could do. All right. So verse 39, and for any oversight or fault committed unto this day, we forgive it. That's what I'm telling you. You know, stuff happened. All right. The people that was lost of lives. The crown tax also, which you owe us, which they felt, because they would come back over and over looking for a portion of this or a portion of that. If there be any other tribute paid in Jerusalem, it shall no more be paid. All right, so start verse 40.
And look who are meet among you to be in our court. Let them be enrolled, and let there be peace betwixt us. Thus the yoke of the heathen was taken away from Israel in the 170th year.
Right, so to be in the court, meaning in like a council or a senate with the heathens, so that they could know the ins and the outs. So they also was creating an alliance with Israel in case somebody try to fight up against them. Then they know that I can call Israel, I can call Ammon, I can call Moab. You understand? Because they already Greece. I could call the Egyptians. So whoever that they had made this peace with, they could come and have an ambassador be in their court and to know the ins and the outs and everybody be at peace. That's what he was saying. All right. That's what Demetrius is telling Simon. So Simon ushered in that deal for Israel to be at peace. All during these times where it was barbaric, that's what, you know, people that lived and dwelt with themselves, that's all they wanted. They just wanted peace, man. Go ahead.
Verse 42. Then the people of Israel began to write in their instruments and contracts in the first year of Simon the high priest, the governor and leader of the Jews. In those days, Simon camped against Gaza and besieged it round about. He made also an engine of war and set it by the city.
Right. You know what an engine of war is? Something that he built that could sling and throw stuff. So now he could turn and ask Demetrius for help because he's at peace with him. Okay. Against Gaza, most likely the Arabs. Go ahead.
And battered a certain tower and took it. And they that were in the engine leaped into the city, whereupon there was a great uproar in the city. Inasmuch as the people of the city rent their clothes and climbed upon the walls with their wives and their children, and cried with a loud voice, beseeching Simon to grant them peace. And they said, deal not with us according to our wickedness, but according to thy mercy. So Simon was appeased toward them, and fought no against them, but put them out of the city, and cleansed the house wherein the idols were, and so entered into it with songs and thanksgiving. Yea, he put all uncleanness out of it, and placed such men there as would keep the law, and made it stronger than it was before, and built therein a dwelling place for himself. They also of the tower in Jerusalem were kept so strapped that they could neither come forth nor go into the country, nor buy nor sell. Wherefore there were in great distress for want of victuals, and a great number of them perished through famine.
So what happens when you cannot buy anything or sell anything? You can't get food. There was a great distress of victuals, and a great number of them, they died because of famine. So when in our time, the buying and selling, they know how to destroy you. If you can't get victuals, you can't get food to provide for yourself, you're gonna die. Yeah, you ain't gonna have. So now is the time for us to practice on trying to grow until we get to a point to where, okay, we are self-sufficient and we know how to provide and grow for our stuff, grow for ourselves and all that. You got to jump in and you got to get started. You don't wait until it hits and then you're going to try and take some seeds and grow something. It takes 3 or 4 months for something to grow and bring forth food. Excuse me, depending on what it is. A lot of stuff 90 days, a lot of stuff 120 days. You're going to wait 90 days to eat. No. And you don't, soil, will it grow here? When to grow, when to plant it. But, and then when you are planting to grow, you got to tend to it like on a daily basis. You got to stay with it and stay at it to make sure that it grows. All right. You can't just throw something in the ground and walk away from it and expect it to grow. It doesn't work like that. So the habits that we have of not understanding agriculture and how to produce produce and how to grow, we got to turn that mindset around and get into it to where we know how to do it because you're going to depend on it. It's like teaching a child how to go to the bathroom alone, teaching a child how to properly cleanse themselves after they go to the bathroom. That's how we are being babes in this. And you have to get started. You can't just sit back and wait for them to announce that, yo, we finna do it. And then you're like, okay. And then no. And to the scriptures, the Spirit's telling you better start preparing yourself now because it's coming. And if you're not preparing yourself, what are you doing? Sitting up, just looking and listening and waiting for it to happen. Can't say, oh, well, my neighbor's gonna do this. The neighbor gonna be like, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do this? It's like all the virgins that went out, some of them had oil in their lamp and the other ones didn't get oil. And the ones that didn't went to the ones that did and say, yo, we won't have enough for our lamp if we give you the oil that we got. That's how it's gonna be. All right, so let's go ahead.
Verse 50, then cried they to Simon, beseeching him to be at one with them, which thing he granted them. And when he had put them out from thence, he cleansed the tower from pollutions, and entered into it the 23rd day of the 2nd month, in the 171st year, with thanksgiving, and branches of palm trees, and with harps, and cymbals, and with viols, and hymns and songs, because there was destroyed a great enemy out of Israel. And he ordained also that that day should be kept every year with gladness. Moreover, the hill of the temple that was by the tower he made stronger than it was, and there he dwelt himself with his company. And when Simon saw that John, his son, was a valiant man, he made him captain of all the host, and he dwelt in Gaza.
Okay. So, and that's why we keep it. But there's more. Go ahead.
This is First Maccabees 14:1. Now in the 163 year, King Demetrius gathered his forces together and went into Media to get him help to fight against Tryphon. But when Arsaces, the king of Persia and Media, heard that Demetrius was entered within his borders, he sent one of his princes to take him alive, who went and smote the host of Demetrius and took him and brought him to Arsaces, by whom he put in war. As for the land of Judea, that was quiet all the days of Simon, for he sought the good of his nation in such wise.
Right. So this is why why we keep it, because it's to commemorate something that was done great in the country, in Israel, by an Israelite brother. And it would be nice if we had been able to see something like this in our times, but instead it's getting worse and it's gonna get worse. But this was Simon in his day. He sought the good. It says it was quiet all the days of Simon, for he sought the good of his nation to this wise. Go ahead.
As that evermore his authority and honor pleased him well. And as he was honorable in all his acts, so in this, that he took Joppa for an haven and made an entrance to the isles of the sea, and enlarged the bounds of his nation, and recovered the country.
So he got the whole country of Jerusalem back. Go ahead.
And gathered together a great number of captives, and had dominion of Gaza and Bethsura.
So if he got captives, then Israel had servants, okay? Had the dominion of Gaza and Bethsura. Go ahead.
And the tower, out of the which he took all uncleanness, neither was there any that resisted him. Then did they till their ground in peace, and the earth gave her increase, and the trees of the field their fruit.
So it sounds like the blessings when you read Deuteronomy chapter 28. Blessed shall be the fruit of the ground and things like that. So if he had captives, those captives were not just put in prison and jail. Those captives were put to work. Okay, go ahead.
The ancient men sat all in the streets.
All right. So now nobody bothered them. The ancient men, the older people. Go ahead.
Communing together of good things.
So they were talking one to another, talking about the wealth and how good things were. Go ahead.
And the young men put on glorious and warlike apparel.
Right, because who do they want to be like? They wanted to be like John, the son of Simon. They wanted to be like the righteous Simon and things like that. So everything prospered into their hands to where they were examples for the youth. That's how we have to be an example for the youth. In order for that spirit to jump for us, to be with us, for Israel to see the Christ in us, we have got to get away from sin. Okay? And then the youth, when they see us, they will want to be like us. You know how sometimes we out there and people will be asking for our shirts? They're like, yo, I want one of those shirts. They be saying that to us. They want our garment. I want one of y'all shirts. We want them to see the Christ in us, and we want them to actually mean it. And then we want to be an example to the youth to where they would actually, want to be like us, because we're being like Christ. All right. So he provided. Go ahead.
Verse 10, he provided victuals for the cities and set in them all manner of munition.
All right. He set up like police stations, stations. He set, munitions. That's what that is, like ammunition. That's what munition is. He set that all throughout the different places to where there were soldiers and etc. that was there. that the people felt comfortable, protective. Now notice, during this time, ain't no other nation walking around policing Israel. So you ain't got to worry about somebody chopping you up because they have swords, because they angry, or you ain't halt, or you know. What kind of madness is this that we live in? This is what we ask for by breaking the laws of the Lord. Go ahead.
So that his honorable name was renowned unto the end of the world.
Everybody knew how this dude was. That's how we should be living now. Our actions and our deeds so honorable to when somebody say something about you, man, like that one there, that's a righteous dude. That's a good dude. Not you think, well, I can't be over righteous. I wonder, I ain't saying, few people really understand what over righteous means. What does that mean, over righteous? What does over righteous mean? Brother, don't be over righteous. That means what's going on? Over righteous. No such thing as, brother, you applying the scriptures and you trying to be over righteous. You know what it truly means? It truly means you cannot bring something that's better than God the Most High.
Yep.
How you gonna be over what's right? But many people think that, oh, you know, if I'm gonna correct you on something, or I'm gonna tell you exactly how to do something, now you have to tell me, brother, don't be over righteous.
Right.
The Bible says be perfect.
Right.
So they ain't talking about that. Be not righteous over much is saying you cannot be, don't go over. Here's what's righteous right here. Christ is the end of the law for righteousness' sake. You can't, he is the end of it, not you. You can't bring in something that's better than Hamashiach Yahushua, man. You can't bring in that. That's what that's talking about. Be not righteous over much. All right? They're saying, if you did 2 things wrong, 10 things wrong, and I correct you on 10 things, that's not me saying, oh, I'm going to be over right by correcting you over 10 things. It's not that. I'm supposed to correct you on 10 things. All right? So, he was a righteous dude. He was a good dude. And that's how you, and having a name that was renowned, that's how you brothers want to be, and sisters. You want to have a name that's renowned unto the end of the earth. That's why it says a good name gonna last you above 10,000 great treasures of gold, man. You want to have a righteous name. How do you do that? Humility. Before honor comes humility, you gotta have a humble spirit. That's what Simon was about. And by him doing that, he got a day. What other day honored a man? Esther. What else? But Purim honors the Most High. So what other day honors a man? What other high holy day? Ain't no other high holy day that